Welcome to another edition of Wonders Wealth. I'm your host, JennConn, and today we're joined by someone who's made a name for himself in more than one arena. He's a World Series champion, a pitcher who delivered in some of the most iconic moments in baseball history. But when he's not throwing strikes, he's strategizing on the realms of the wonders of the first, playing, collecting, and even dropping into the Discord to talk theory and strategy with the community. He's not just here for the cards either. He's also been a major advocate for charitable causes, using his platform to give back and make a real impact. From the mound to the multiverse, please welcome Curt Schilling, a true competitor, a compassionate collector, and someone who's clearly just getting started in the world of wonders.
Hey.
Hi, welcome.
Hi,
Curt.
Jen. I love the name, by the way. You couldn't appeal to more nerds in the world than being named JennConn. So good for you.
Yes, I know. It took a while. Like, it first came out, and people were like very confused. They're like, "Wait,
right.
The event, the thing, the wait, what? What's her
right.
name?"
Well, what's your real name? Yeah. What?
It is Jennifer Connelly.
Yep. Okay.
So
love it.
So welcome. Thank you very much for showing up and giving us the time today. We're going to bring a couple more people on board first before we get into all of the questions and back and forth. Yep. We're now going to bring up the one and the only Brian Tinsman, who is the creator and all-knowing wonder designer, expert extraordinaire.
humble game designer at your service.
Yes.
Hi, Jen. Hi, Curt.
Hey, what's going on, Brian?
Hey, Brian. How are you?
Doing great.
Awesome. And then the last member of our little foursome here is going to be Kyle. Kyle is a member of the community and also owns and was the founder of Dinger Bats, who's a wood baseball bat company, and supplies a lot of the current baseball players that are on today. Hey, Kyle, what's up?
Hey guys, good to see you, Curt, Brian, Jen. I was kind of wondering where you were going with it, with all the accolades, introducing the legends, and then there's Kyle.
And then there's Kyle, and then he popped up.
It is what it is. Pleasure to be here, though. Thank you.
Okay, so before we're just going to do a little bit of general information first, then we're going to switch over to Brian and talk more game theory, and then we'll end with Kyle more on the baseball side of things. So I just had a personal question, Curt, in regards to your incredible career. What is the one most memorable moment that stands out for you?
Well, thank you, Jen. I answer the same way all the time. I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and I grew up a Pittsburgh Pirate fan, and my dad's favorite player was Roberto Clemente. And the first and only game I ever saw in my life was in 1972. Was the last game of the season when he got his career hit number 3,000, and he passed away a couple weeks later, flying aid to Nicaragua for earthquake victims. They named an award after him, the Roberto Clemente Award, which is the most prestigious off-the-field award you can receive as a major league player. And in 2001, I was honored enough to be the winner of the Major League Baseball's Roberto Clemente Award. And so I got presented the award on the field in the World Series in 2001. And my first child, Gehrig, who's named after Lou Gehrig, he was on the field with me to receive the award. That's the highlight of my career. Getting picked for that award was the highlight of my career.
Oh, that's amazing. That is so amazing. What do fans like? What's the one question, the most question that you get when fans what do they ask you about?
Right. I think I get fans in Boston and Arizona riled up because people in Boston can't believe that 2004 isn't the greatest thing I've ever experienced. And in 2001, I played in one of the most amazing World Series ever. Excuse me. You remember 9/11 and all the things that happened around the 2001 baseball season. We ended up playing the Yankees in the World Series, and one of the most memorable World Series that was ever played. And Randy and I had a pretty good week. And Gonzo ends up walking him off, and we win in 7 games. And it was one of the most amazing experience of my life. And then you go to 2004, excuse me, and we come back from down 3-0 and all those things. I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, so that had a personal connection for me that I didn't have with Boston. But the Boston one was every bit as special because of everything that happened and me getting hurt and my ankle and all the stuff around that. Excuse me, us being down 3-0 and it being Boston. You know, at the time, the Yankee-Red Sox rivalry was at its peak, I think. We didn't like them. They didn't like us. And that series, our World Series was the Yankee series, really, because we went into St. Louis, and I love St. Louis, but we steamrolled them.
Can I ask a question? I know I'm not really the interviewer here, but I'm super curious about when you're in a high pressure situation with everyone looking at you and everything on the line. Do you just naturally deal with the pressure, or do you just have to like fight to overcome, nerves and expectations and stuff?
It's my office, right? The pitching mound in the middle of the I don't remember to this day in 22 years. I don't remember hearing things when I was on the mound. It wasn't part of what I was doing. I was focusing on pitching, and when you're mentally able to drive yourself to a pinpoint narrowed focus, you don't hear those things. When you're young, it's an amalgam of noises and colors and sounds, and that just kind of, it's white noise. And you learn as you get older. For me, I thrived on it. The louder it got, I love the thought of being able to make people in New York shut up, and then getting people on their feet in Boston. It's a magical thing to know, and you don't realize it till after. I can remember my kid. I'm watching a music concert like Live Aid or something. They got it looks like 500,000 people in the stands, standing and moving, and I said I often say after I'm tired, I go, man, that must be amazing. And my kids look at me like I have 3 eyes. They're like, what do you mean? Like, you did that? I'm like, no, I didn't. And I never really took that in. Brian, I would tell you this: the 2001 in Game 7 of the World Series, before I threw the first pitch, was the first time I ever stepped off and said, I need to soak this in a little bit because this may never happen again. I'm pitching against Roger Clemens, 9/11, all the things that had happened. The World Series is in Game 7, and the personal things going on. I stepped off the mound and I looked around, and I was like, damn, this is pretty cool.
You didn't have a little voice that was saying, don't mess this up, don't mess this
up. No, that was never. You know what? There are a lot of guys that do. They don't stay in the big leagues very long, because it's just, you can't. It's hard to translate the feeling, but it's something that for me, it either motivated me or it didn't exist because I didn't worry about it.
That's awesome.
I had a question.
Yo.
A lot about going on Brian's question there was, I heard an interview a couple months ago on Covino and Rich, I believe it was, where you had attributed what you're talking about here in the big game situations with how you prepared in your regular season starts. So when you got to those big situations, you'd been there before. It was just a bigger moment.
Right. Yeah, no, I eventually grew into preparation. Was the thing I was most known for in my career. And I think it's also one of the reasons why I have such an affinity for gaming, especially for this game, for Wonders, is my attention to detail. And the minutia for me is always been a big thing, and it translates. It correlates into other aspects of my life. But I used to, what I ended up doing was spring train. I had a 5-hour window. I left for the ballpark 5 hours before first pitch on the day I started, and it was a consistency thing. And what I did was in spring. The hard part is in spring training. They're 1 o'clock in the afternoon games, and we play at night all season long. So I had to get up at 6 a.m. for the spring training games to leave for the park at 5 hours before, because I had this routine. And it was a routine that from the first day of spring training till the Game 7 World Series, that day went the same way for me all the time. And it was and again, attention to detail. I did things in a very specific minute time during that day, but it was so I would never be caught unprepared.
Right.
Right. And so game 1 of the World Series, game 7 of the World Series, and my second start in spring training, the day went the same all the way up to the first pitch. And then that's when things changed. So I tried to make my workspace comfortable, and I just didn't like to be caught off guard.
Nice.
I teach my kids that. They don't listen yet. So maybe someday. So before we get into what we're all here for is you and talking about the wonders, I just wanted to touch on another topic that you're also very, very involved in and have a huge impact on, and that's all your charity work and your efforts there. I know you're involved in a lot of different organizations, from ALS to the Shade Foundation to supporting veterans,
Right.
youth sports, and I recently found out today you have an animal rescue. So I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about, some of them, if there's any current fundraisers or things that are going on right now that you wanted to tell everyone about.
Well, ALS has been kind of our thing since about 30, 35, 33 years. I met a patient in 1992, excuse me, that had just been diagnosed with ALS. And we were at a time in my career, just starting out. We were just I just had my first good season and all the things that go with that. And we wanted to get involved, and that just seemed like the thing to do. And thank God, it wasn't because someone in my family was afflicted or my wife Shonda's family either. It just seemed like the right thing to do. And we met a dynamic woman named Ellen Phillips, who ran the Philadelphia ALS chapter, and we've just been involved ever since. The Shade Foundation. My wife's a multi-time cancer survivor, as I am too. She had melanoma in the 2001 season. My first day in Arizona in spring training, the night before it opened up, I got a phone call from her, and she had been diagnosed with skin cancer. So we dealt with that, and the Shade Foundation came out of that for her. All the things, the veteran stuff. I grew up in a military family. Serving was what I wanted to do before I realized I had the ability to throw a baseball pretty hard, pretty accurately. And I've been over to the Middle East a couple times on USO tours during the war, which was the highlight of my life. It was just an amazing experience. And it's the animal. All of it has been because of baseball and the window it afforded me. I think we're all here to make a difference in other people's lives in a good way. And we've tried, and we've come up short at times, but we've always tried to be there for people. The military one is probably my big passion now. I do a lot of stuff with a place called I'm gonna misremember the name, but I'll come up with it. The Fisher House. The Fisher House is the organization I love to work with now. But all that is a byproduct of this, and I it really honestly in a very odd way brings back to why I'm here in this community. I like good companies. I like good people. I was a big.
Thank you, everyone, for enjoying part 1 of our 4-part series with Wonders of the First fan and World Series champion Curt Schilling, or Garrick38 as you may know him in Discord, and Brian Tinsman, former head game designer with Magic the Gathering. In part 2, Curt puts on his gamer hat and talks rules, and rules in Wonders of the First. Wonders of the First is the revolutionary collectible card game released in March 2025 and created by Brian Tinsman. Be sure to tune in.